Hello, my name is Jim Massopust, author of Thank You God That, Using the Creative Power of Gratitude to Manifest Your Desires. For more information, go to my website, www.thankyougodthat.com. Again, www.thankyougodthat.com. Let's see. The next section you're going to be reading is chapter chapter 7, which is called The Beach House. This is a story of how we received a 1,600 square foot rental house 2 blocks from the Pacific Ocean in San Diego, California, for $650 rent per month and lived there 2.5 years at the same amount. Now, this is a very interesting story because most people would say it's impossible that anything like that could happen. So here we go. Chapter 7, The Beach House. Quote, the more power one gives to his thought, the more completely he believes that his thought has power, the more will it have. By Ernest Holmes. San Diego. In October 1996, we moved to San Diego. Interestingly, before I accepted a new position, I attended a birthday party for my son, who lived in Orange County and was in the movie business. One of the guests was Peter James, host of a well-known UFO show called Sightings, www.sightings.com. In conversation, Peter said, if you stay in Colorado, you'll bounce along the bottom of the food chain. If you move to San Diego, you will quickly rise to economic heights never imagined. I hadn't verbalized that I had not verbalized that I had to make a decision by Monday. His statement was totally out of the blue. It seems a former boss of mine had a small service business in Carlsbad, North San Diego County, and offered me a 1-year project to help me get back on my feet financially. Our first grandson was about to be born, so Leslie stayed in Colorado to be close to family. I had $100 in cash to last me 2 weeks. I had a job, a room in a house, and my 20-year-old Chevy truck. Here's how that looked. The house, landlord was unfriendly. The job, the boss was positive, and his wife, who was warm at the interview, was now cold and distant. What did I get myself into? I thought. 2 weeks after I moved into the house, my landlord evicted me with 3 days' notice for a larger paying renter. The house at the beach. With no place to live, knowing no one, having to move in 3 days, with no credit cards, and about $50 in cash, I opened Creative Thought magazine. It's been out of publication since 2013. Its successor, The Science of Mind magazine, is available at www.scienceofmind.com and at any centers for spiritual living. I shut my eyes, flipped through the pages, selected a practitioner, and phoned. Pat, a newly licensed and highly suspicious person, thought I was the salesperson. What do you want? She asked. Just affirmative prayer for a new place to live, I replied. We talked. I stated my need. She prayed. She invited me over to her house the next day to see if she could help any further. Upon arriving and sitting on her couch, her little dog, Susie, jumped into my lap and wouldn't get off. We talked to her for about an hour. She then offered me her spare room for less money than I'd been previously paying and said she would wait for her money. Wow. Why trust me? I asked. Her reply, Susie. Susie was her deceased husband's dog, and she didn't like strangers, especially men. So if Susie approved of me, then that was okay for Pat. I had her seal of approval. Pat's husband had passed away 18 months earlier, and she appeared somewhat sad and depressed, which was probably why I didn't get the best first impression when I called her. But now, having me around perked her up. The room was in a house 1 block from the Pacific Ocean. Excuse me. The room was in a house 2 blocks from the Pacific Ocean in a complex with a pool, spa, and walking trails. My agreement was for 3 months, so I had time to locate a place big enough for me and Leslie. I settled in. It was apparent I was supposed to be there and that the other place had only been temporary until the beach house was ready for me, or I was ready for it. Pat came out of her depression and began cooking Sunday meals for us and watching Monday Night Football and with Susie always on my lap. The job at the time was most likely not going to last, as none of them had. However, the living situation was working out. I began my affirmative prayer treatment work to locate a place for me and my wife. I practiced trust, surrender, release. While Pat went to Oregon for the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, I continued looking for a new home. Yet everything kept falling through. By the end of January 1997, Pat had extended her visit in the Northwest through the 30th. I was still looking and couldn't find anything. One evening, the phone rang and it was Pat. She asked, "Have you found a place to move yet?" "No," I replied, "still looking." Pat said, "Stop looking. I have a deal for you." Period, paragraph. Timing, and a quote in italics. Timing seems to be everything. Pray, release, trust, then wait for the answer. Let spirit fill the mold. "I'm not ready to sell my house yet," she said, "but I'll rent it to you for $650 per month until I decide to sell it. I'm coming down for my clothes and personal effects. After my husband's kids take out his personal items, I'll sell you the rest of the furniture, bedding, dishes, pots, pans, and pantry contents for $800. Will you take it?" Wow. The house was 1,650 square feet, 1 block from the Pacific Ocean, for $650 per month, including utilities. You bet. And a pantry 8 feet wide, 6 feet high, full of food. We ate out of the pantry for over 2 years. Pausing to take stock, I saw that our personal life was definitely improving. This was the positive sign I had been praying for. At that time in Colorado Springs, $650 paid the rent for a 3-bedroom, 2-story house with an attached garage in a middle-class neighborhood. In San Diego, my room in Pat's house was costing me $350. When we had left California in 1993, we figured we would be unable to return for that very reason. Housing costs were too high. Things were really looking up. We moved in and lived there for 2.5 years at the same rent. Within 6 months, Leslie had an excellent job in a related field, mortgage underwriting, at twice the salary of her Colorado Springs position. I, by comparison, was still struggling. The contract job that brought me to California lasted 10 months. Winter 1997. Yes, life was looking up as far as our housing was concerned and for Leslie's job, but the truth was that after 4 years, as of February 1997, we still had no cash reserves. Our only debt was for the $10K we owed the IRS in deferred taxes. Our vehicles were 15 and 20 years old and in poor repair. My work prospects were minimal. Remember my statement, God doesn't care? That's how I was still focused. Of course, God doesn't care. It just loves us and gives us whatever we ask for. We focus on the negative, we get the negative. And the more we focus on the negative, the more pain we get. Focus on the positive, and we draw that to us. I wanted more clarity about focus, so I delved into it. Webster defines it as to make a clear image of any center, attention, etc. Again, to make a clear image of any center, attention, etc. Science of mind teaches that what we focus on is what we get. When I was in the pain of my experience, my focus was on the part that I lost. I had negative emotions and it seemed I was attracting more of the same. Yes, Yet, when I turned my focus on gratitude for my blessings increased. A friend shared this story with me. She and her husband were driving along a highway with her at the wheel. After a while, she noticed blinking lights in her rearview mirror. Glancing at her speedometer, she saw that she was driving 80 miles per hour. Immediately, she slowed down and pulled over. When the officer was conversing with her, she told him they were on their way to visit her grandmother, who was in the hospital. All of her attention and concern was on her loved one. She admitted fault. The officer didn't give her a ticket, but gave her advice to slow down and drive safely. He did give the ticket to her partner for not wearing his seatbelt. Afterwards, they discussed the incident. She said, I always drive safely and I've always been ticket free. Thank you, God. He shared, every time he gets stopped by a policeman, he gets a ticket. What are our dominant thoughts? What are your dominant thoughts, positive or negative? Watch the focus of your thoughts and your words. They tend to manifest results whether desired or not. The Bible. In Numbers 14 is written, I will do exactly as you have said. In Proverbs 6:2, it is written, we are snared, trapped by the words out of our mouth. In Proverbs 18:7, it is written, we will eat the fruit of our words. What had I been thinking the past 4 years? The event that caused my financial collapse and the pain of losing all our material goods and career. No wonder what I was tracking was a reflection of my thoughts. Summer 1997. Although successful in my work activities, my boss was under constant pressure from his wife to replace me with the Mercedes-Benz she wanted. That was the source of the hateful feelings I was receiving from her in the workplace. Finally, the boss had to decide between keeping me and purchasing the Mercedes. To avoid a divorce, he purchased the car. At least I can say I was replaced by a Mercedes-Benz. My boss gave me the decision, and immediately I was faced with quickly finding something new. I had recently called on a small business, a moving company that wanted to start a corporate sales program, and asked me if I was interested in making a change. I immediately called them, and yes, the position was still open. I interviewed and was offered the job. This eighth position was not to be another contract job. I was hired full-time because my duties would require 40 plus hours per week to complete. 2 years down the road, I was going to experience the benefits of employment versus contract work. Most of the work I found after Teledyne closed was short-term and paid about 50% less than what I was earning in my corporate days. In the early 1990s in sales, it wasn't called contract work, it was called consulting. I often did consulting after my regular hours as a part-time job. I needed a way to account for all the job changes of short duration on my resume, so I listed them as consulting contract work, which was by the hour, month, year, or project. Change was still occurring regularly. Although my work experience was the same as it had been over the past 6 years, I felt good inside, with a positive outlook on life. In the beginning of this experience, I decided to keep a journal, perhaps even write a story or a book someday. But when writing a story, you need a beginning, middle, and end. I was still stuck on the middle part. What is science of mind? Science of mind is a dynamic, practical, spiritual philosophy. It sets us free to experience love, health, happiness, prosperity, and fulfillment in every aspect of our lives. As I've said, it's being practiced at what are now called Centers for Spiritual Living. And again, it's not a church because there's no dogma, rules, or regulations, though it is based on Judeo-Christianity. It doesn't teach you what to believe. It teaches you how God, Spirit, works in your life. You apply this information however you choose. Many attendees will attend their places of worship in addition. They enjoy the lectures and classes, which are loving and positive. How it works. At the Centers for Spiritual Living, we practice a form of positive prayer called spiritual mind treatment. The five-step process of this affirmative prayer is to recognize the presence of God, to feel our unity with his presence, to plant a new seed in consciousness with affirmation, to tend it with gratitude, and to allow the natural creative process to do the rest through release. Now let me pause here for 1 minute and have a drink of water. So hold that thought for a minute. That's better. How it works. There are five. These are the 5 steps. Number 1, recognition of a higher power, God, the force, spirit, universal intelligence. 2, unification, recognizing you are one with the power. 3, affirmation. 4, thanksgiving or gratitude. 5, release. My experience is that the most difficult part is release or surrender, which means taking my mind off the challenge problem long enough for a change or a solution to manifest. It has also been referred to as let go and let God. 3-day-old fish. Through 7 negative job experiences, I had programmed my subconscious mind to bring me more of what I did not want. It was a daily struggle to focus on what I did want to experience because the facts kept pulling me back. Just about every minute of every day, the facts, like a smelly 3-day-old fish, would hit me in the face. Unresolved problems are like elephants. Over time, if we don't solve the problem, they grow and multiply. This problem became overwhelming, like an elephant living in my house. As time passed, it got bigger. Mine was so huge that in order to go to the bathroom, I had to go out the front door, run along the side of the house, and crawl in the bathroom window. Now, we know that didn't really happen, but that's what it felt like. How badly did I want this? I wanted a new career so much that I was willing to do anything, including licking the spit off the sidewalk if it made a difference. Thank God I didn't have to do that. But we have to be willing to do what we need to do in order to have change. I was willing to do affirmative prayer. I was willing to look through the newspaper for job openings. I was willing to work temp offices like filing or typing. Affirmative prayer without action is hallucination. I've also learned something else that can strengthen affirmations. It's something I read in a Wayne Dyer book called The Power of Intention. You see, when we set an intention, we focus on achieving a goal, and this focus triggers a transformation of energy that draws to us that which we desire. Intentions are stronger than affirmations, so it's helpful to precede any affirmation with a statement of intention. These are clear desires about which we feel a certainty, for which we have a strong passion. It's the energy of the intention along with the accompanying feelings that allow the requests to manifest. When you have a clear intention, then you can write an affirmation to repeat with certainty that you'll receive your desired result. When you have a clear intention, then you can write an affirmation to repeat with certainty that you'll receive your desired result. Release. Release is the 5th step of the spiritual mind treatment, and it was my biggest challenge. Trust and surrender, release, and let go of the problem. Science of mind philosophy says there are no problems, just challenges. No thing is better than our idea of God. The word problem is defined in Webster's New World Dictionary as a situation that is perplexing or difficult to resolve. The word challenge is defined as a demanding task that calls for a special dedication or resolve. Science of mind followers use the word challenge since it doesn't have the negative charge associated with the word problem. However, according to the definitions, they both connote some amount of effort to resolve. Here's how Wayne Dyer describes release after stating your intention. He says, intention is a force in the universe that allows the act of creation to take place. Let go after we state it and allow it to come to us. The act of letting go is detaching from the outcome, as this shows we are certain of our intention. We need to release it so the energy can flow back to us in our receptive state. Letting go is a subtle action, but we know when we released it because the need is gone, replaced by a calm certainty. Repeating, we need to release it so that the energy can flow back to us in our receptive state. Letting go is a subtle action, but we know when we've released it because the need is gone, replaced by calm certainty. We release our needs and desires and accept our highest good, knowing that the creative system of the universe is in action in our life and affairs. We express gratitude for all we've received. Let our hearts overflow with gratitude. Thank God with praise and love. Then allow yourself to be guided to take appropriate actions. As co-creator with your higher power, listen to inner guidance and move forward in faith that you're moving in the direction of your desires. Learn to trust intuition and stay open and listen. Expect miracles every day. Look forward to each day with anticipation and express gratitude as they unfold. After 6 years, 1991 to 1997, with no change, I figured I was dealing with a big challenge and had just about given up on affirmative prayer technique of science of mind and accepted there was no positive resolution to this problem, and I would just have to accept the situation as permanent. But in truth, I knew I had to release my career challenge to God. The problem stayed with me because I couldn't forget it, since I was reminded just about every moment that it was still in my life. This is a common issue for most of us. How do we focus exclusively on what we want to create and not focus on the challenge that's right in front of us every minute of every day? I still hope to find an answer to this dilemma. Here's Wayne Dyer's formula for releasing your intentions. Number 1, decide what you want. Get clear about it and state the intention in specific terms. 2, visualize and feel the outcome as if it's arrived. Use your imagination and all your senses. 3, expect it will happen. Then release it to the universe and watch it come. 4, allow it to occur. Believe it's possible. Be open to having what you want. Suspend rational belief based on the past. 5, offer gratitude. When we give thanks and appreciation before manifestation, we're acting as if it's already come. It has come in our imagination to already exist in the universe. Offering gratitude is accepting it to appear in present time from where it already exists. Lesson. Change and challenges are inevitable, yet prayer and surrender always work. Trust, surrender, and release were my biggest roadblocks to realizing my desires, yet I believed in them and persisted in the face of obstinate thoughts I wanted to override. Action. Bring to mind the biggest challenge in your life now. Look at it honestly to see where you might be attached and are not letting go. Are you afraid of change? The unknown. Is misery better than the mystery? Are you not trusting God to allow the best result into your life? Practice letting go of the challenge however you can. For example, write it on a piece of paper and burn it in your sink or fireplace. Or write it on a helium-filled balloon or reach it into the sky. Then sit quietly and imagine life beyond the challenge. Picture that image each morning upon arising and each night before closing your eyes. This completes Chapter 7, The Beach House. Look for the next reading in the next couple of days. Have a nice day. Goodbye.